Imagine you have a coin in your portfolio. This coin is working together with Google, with Samsung, with Sony, with Deutsche Telekom. It is being scientifically researched by Peking University. It is actively used at 24 universities worldwide. And yet, almost every investor is currently asking themselves the same question. Is this still worth investing in at all, or is it fundamentally broken? I'm going to answer exactly this question for you today because Theta Network has delivered more updates in the last 3 months than many projects do in an entire year, but at the same time, lawsuits are underway that could shake the entire credibility of the project. So what is actually true, what is relevant, and what do you really need to know as an investor? Let's take a look at that together now. Hi, I'm Marius from 10x Invest. On my channel, I analyze stocks and cryptocurrencies using more than 20 data-driven metrics. I'll link the complete explainer video for you up here or in the video description. Today we're going to take a look at the Theta Network. So grab yourself a coffee, leave a like for me, and then let's get started right away. Before we get started, a quick note. If you want to know which altcoins I always keep on my radar, especially this week, or if you want to stay updated on the latest market developments, then sign up for the 10x Insider for free. No risk, no subscription, just join for free. You'll find the link in the video description. The Theta Network is one of the most interesting, but also most controversial projects in the entire crypto market. On one hand, partnerships are exploding, and the technology is constantly evolving. On the other hand, there are allegations against the CEO that hardly anyone in the industry can simply ignore. But what exactly does that mean, and how should you interpret it? We'll go through that step by step now. What exactly is the Theta Network? It's a decentralized blockchain infrastructure that was originally developed for video streaming. The idea behind it was actually simple. There are millions of unused computers worldwide on the internet. Theta wanted to pool these resources and make the network usable for video transmissions. The model worked, but the world has changed. AI today requires enormous amounts of energy and computing power, and this is exactly where Theta has ultimately made a new strategic shift. What started as a video streaming network has become a decentralized AI infrastructure. The platform is now called Edge Cloud, and that's really the core of what's happened, especially in the last 3 months. But of course, the question now is, what's really behind it? And that's what we're going to take a look at now. The governance reform TDROP 2.0. Let's start with a development that hardly anyone has on their radar yet. On January 5th of this year, the Theta community voted on fundamental token reforms. So, around 4 billion TDROP tokens will be removed from the old NFT liquidity mining pool. They will be moved into a new staking pool. The staking incentives will be extended until 2030. The total supply of 20 billion TDROP will remain unchanged. What does this mean in concrete terms? TDROP was originally intended for NFTs, but the market for NFTs is dead. Instead, TDROP is supposed to function as a means of payment in the AI agent economy. A concrete example, anyone who buys merchandise through Theta-based AI shops pays with TDROP and receives discounts. So this isn't exactly spectacular news, but it does show that the project is actively steering things rather than just watching from the sidelines. The question now, of course, is whether this AI agent economy will actually gain traction, and the answer to that is directly related to my next topic, the 2026 roadmap and what it really means. In mid-January, Theta Labs released the official roadmap for 2026. The goals were clearly defined. This year is not meant to be another experimental phase, but rather a phase of commercial scaling. In the first half of the year, the focus is on 3 things. First, fuel demand is supposed to increase through real customers. Universities, esports organizations, companies. Second, telecommunications companies are to secure the network as validator partners. Third, the first AI agents are supposed to go live. AI merge agent, AI support agents, AI tickets. In the second half of the year, things will get more technical and ambitious. Then, distributed interfacing is set to begin. This means that AI models will not only be run individually on enterprise servers, but simultaneously on thousands of distributed community nodes. If this works, Theta would truly no longer be a GPU marketer, but a genuine decentralized AI infrastructure. That's the difference that many projects promise, but only a few deliver. Whether Theta delivers, we'll see in the second half of 2026, and that's exactly the point you should pay attention to as an investor. Partnerships, what has really happened? Now let's move on to the concrete updates. I'll show you the most important partnerships from the last 3 months. Not as a list, but in a way that's relevant for the overall picture. Imperial College London. On January 13th, 2026, the Security and Machine Learning Lab at Imperial College London was confirmed as Theta's first European academic partner. They use Edge Cloud for research on AI security and trustworthy AI. Why is this relevant? Up until now, Theta has hardly had any presence in Europe. But Imperial College London is one of the most research-intensive universities in the world. This partner naturally opens up the strategic market to Europe. The field of AI security is exactly what regulators in the EU are intensely discussing, NTT Digital. On January 20th, 26, NTT Digital Enterprise joined as a validator. This is a subsidiary of the NTT Group and one of the largest telecommunications corporations in the world. It is in fact the second largest after Deutsche Telekom, and that's already extremely impressive. But then there are also companies like Google, Samsung, Sony, Binance. So when you consider how many have already staked on Theta, it's remarkable. Esports economy. In February, 2 more big names joined. The list of esports organizations is growing as a result. Cloud9, G2, NRG, Dignitas, so a huge number. And here you can see that they've really built a genuine ecosystem, not just individual deals. Technology, what has really changed? Now let's move on to the technological updates. 3 have happened in the last few months that are the most relevant in the long term. First, Rapid API integration. On January 16th, the Edge Cloud APIs were made available on Rapid API. Rapid API is one of the world's largest API marketplaces with around 3 million developers, so really huge. Second, MCP server. On January 28th, Theta launched an official MCP server. That stands for Model Context Protocol. This is an open protocol for AI-based applications that connects them with each other. Theta provides more than 18 different AI models through this. Users of Claude, Corsa, Klein can directly access decentralized GPU resources. This naturally positions them as an infrastructure layer, which is also a good thing. Third, GPU upgrade to NVIDIA H200. In March, the enterprise nodes were upgraded from H100 to H200 graphics cards. They have almost 50% higher memory bandwidth. So this is not just a cosmetic update, but rather faster training, faster inference, and thus competitive pricing compared to AWS or Google Cloud, for example. And all 3 updates together show that Theta is investing in the right areas, expanding the platform's accessibility along with its technical capabilities. But what remains for the Theta network at the end of the first quarter now? The technology is strong. 24 academic partners worldwide, 2 telecommunications companies as validators, GPU upgrade to H200, so they have everything they ultimately need. And this is not a marketing project without substance. Real work is happening in the background. But the risk is also real. The whistleblower lawsuit against the CEO has not disappeared. It is ongoing, and management is not communicating anything about it. If you have Theta on your watch list, there are exactly 3 points you need to pay attention to now. First, whether the distributed inference technologies will actually go live in the second half of 2026. That would be fundamental proof of the technology. Second, how the lawsuit develops, of course. Here, you need to wait for facts. And third, whether Theta Labs starts to communicate with transparency. The CEO's silence is currently the biggest issue for the project. Now you know how the Theta network is fundamentally positioned, but the fundamentals alone are not enough. That's why we're going to take a look at the chart now.
Let's start with the chart analysis. As always, we'll begin with a review. Let's take a look at the whole picture. It's always extremely important to consider the overall picture. And if we take a look at it, for a really long time, nothing much actually happened here. But then came the explosion, also quite exciting. Here my indicator showed a big green dot, which signals a bottom formation. And after that, it shot up massively. If we take a look at it now, that was starting from right about here, and then climbing up by 13,000%, which is so extremely high up here. Then a big red dot, which indicates that we're overbought. Not surprising with this chart. So here, possibly a top, you have to be extremely careful. At that point and after that, it dropped massively. If we look here now, let's take this point as an example. We dropped by almost 93% and up to now by almost over 99%. But now let's take a look at the current situation. By the way, we had one of the last high points here. There were already several, let's say, big green dots here as well, which, as I said, this suggests that we might be seeing a bottom forming here. And in the end, we've gone up by about 260% again here, but then a big red dot. Bearish, and ultimately we went down afterwards. Now let's take a closer look at the whole thing. So a big green dot formed here back then, and after that we pushed upwards. Now a big red dot has formed here, which suggests that we are now overbought here and that maybe finally this could be a top. You definitely need to be careful now. I would always be extremely cautious up here, and personally, as I said, my tactic is always to wait until we reach these areas. And when a big green dot forms, then I go deeper into the analysis and consider what to do next. By the way, you can get the 10x indicator in the 10x Elite, or you can also get it separately. You can check all of that out on my website. The link is in the attract in the video description. Yes, and as I said, that's basically the conclusion when it comes to chart analysis. We are in overbought zones, which is always a dangerous area. Personally, I would continue to wait until we enter an oversold zone. Now that you know everything about Theta Network, I'll link you to another altcoin that's also very interesting. Be sure to check it out. See you in the next video.